Hello, Booktube. It's Louise, the big head bookworm. Lovely to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good day, wherever it is you are and whatever it is you're doing. And hopefully you can see me really clearly and you can hear me really well. Oh, hair on the microphone. Don't do that. Hi. Lovely to see you. Gosh, it's been a while, hasn't it? 2 years. I think it's been about 2 years since I last uploaded a video where I was talking about books. Yeah. And then I disappeared. You very, very nicely left the door open, Booktube. You left the door open, ajar. I mean, it wasn't wide. I had to muscle my way in, but I was more than happy to do that. Saying, perhaps you've come back too soon. And you were right. You were right. What happened was I rushed back after my husband had had his neck cancer and his reconstruction surgery and intense radiotherapy. And I came back just before our child had GCSEs. We went through the trauma that is GCSEs for everybody. And, 2025 happened as well. There was a lot there. We had an unfortunate sudden death in the family and we had change in lots of different ways. And it was all a bit much. But hopefully now in 2026, the beginning of May 2026, we will get some good times. I mean, admittedly, gosh, no, I have been on Booktube since, I was on Booktube for years. And when I started, my child was in primary school and they're going to university in September. I know, crazy, hey? I mean, obviously I am old enough to have a child that's going to university, but I am so waiting for the grown-ups to come and say, you've done really well. We're really proud of you, but we'll take over from now. You've done great, but really we should be dealing with it, not you. And I would agree. I'll go, yeah, that's great. Thank you very much. Do you mind if I go to the playground and go on the swings? And can I have some money for some ice cream? That would be great, thank you. But no, doesn't seem at the moment like anybody's coming. So we just carry on. Wild, isn't it? What have you been up to? Right, I shall wait patiently for you to tell me everything that's happened to you in the last 2 years. Tell me now. Well, no, okay. Perhaps tell me one good book you've read. Tell me one good book you've read. And I'll tell you some stuff that I've read. Well, I'm not going to tell you stuff that I've read over the last 2 years. There was a massive chunk of time where I barely read. I just, life took over and I barely read. And that's the really weird thing, isn't it? We're bookish people. We're bookish people, you and I. We consider ourselves readers, but, there's still time when we don't read. That's what happened. That's what happened to me. I still consider myself a reader. I still bought books. I do think there are two separate hobbies there, obviously. The one, we have the hobby of buying books and we have the hobby of reading books. We don't always do the same at the same time, at the same rate. I considered myself a reader still because, if you were to say, cut me and I bleed readers, I bleed book, I bleed kind of ink, not red blood. Cut me and I'd say, ow, why are you doing that? Go away. And then I'd go to a book and I'd look up what I should do to deal with somebody that comes along and cuts you. Okay, went off there. But you know what I mean? So yeah, I didn't read. I just didn't have the capacity to read. But I found my love of music again. And this time I've fallen in love with classical music, in particular piano. And I've started to learn it really badly. Yeah. You hear about these people, I have them in my family. They go, I started to learn an instrument and I'm on grade 7. I've started to learn an instrument and I will never do the grade systems because I'm that bad. But I'm loving it. So that's all that matters. I've also bought books about music. Natch. I'll do a whole video about my other books. My music books that I haven't read a lot of them, but I look at them and I touch them. I will do a video about the Agathas that I have read. Of course, there have been Agathas in the last 2 years. Of course, I've watched, I've listened, I've thought about, I've bought, I've looked at various Agatha Christie's, Dame Agathas, and I've got lots to say. So we will do that if you're up for it. If you're still interested in Agatha, she hasn't become completely passé and you've been over Agathaed, if that's possible. I've also got romance books that I'd like to talk to you about, and a series that I've gone back into. Yeah. So yeah, we've got videos, and we've got ideas, and I'm hoping to bring back Friday Reads. Yeah, let's do it. Anyway, let's talk about books. Let's talk about some of the books that I have been reading. Some of them are good. These are the ones that I've picked up out of the big pile that I thought I'd tell you about. But I'll start with a really good book. So I put this on my Instagram because I read it in January. She says confidently and now doubts herself. I read it in January, I think. It was a real random purchase from World of Books, which is a second-hand marketplace for books. I think it's all second-hand. It's very discounted, and you get 4 for 3s quite regularly, and they do £3 books. And I think this was in a 4 for 3. I think I got this. And Susie Dent is, let me read you exactly what Susie Dent is. She's a writer and broadcaster on language. She recently celebrated 30 years as a co-presenter and resident word expert on Countdown, which is a very long-running quiz show about words, and also appears on the show's comedy sister. 8 out of 10 does Countdown. She's an amazing lady, and obviously is known for being completely wordy. Guilty by Definition is her first novel. It is brilliant. It is along the mould of Inspector Morse, because it is Colin Dexter's Inspector Morse, because it is based in Oxford. However, there is no, the sleuths in it are in the Clarendon English Dictionary office, and it is related to the editor, Martha Thornhill. It's about her sister going missing and the mystery about that, which happened 10 years ago, I think. And it's this kind of, it is cozy crime, and it's small community crime, although it's set in Oxford, but it has that kind of slight English village feel as well. What I really liked about it is, some geese are just going past. Sorry, squirrel. What I really liked about it was when they said, so when something happens, and I find it infuriating in crime novels, when you're sat there going, well, if that happened to me, I'd go to the police. If that happened to me, I would tell that person. Any book that uses miscommunication as a plot device, oh my gosh, I find so frustrating. The characters did the common sense thing. So when something happened and you thought to yourself, well, if that was me, I'd phone up that person and tell them that's what happened. They did. Or they sent a text message and the person phoned them back and they had a conversation about it. And there was no miscommunication. They just literally would talk about it. That's what happened. And somebody would say, I'll tell you about that. And they would tell them about it. They then wouldn't say, but I can't do it now because I've got to go off and then die. They would actually say, I'll tell you about it, and tell them about it. Or you think to yourself, well, if that happened to me, I would go to the police because that's just terrifying. They would go to the police because it was terrifying. It was so good. It was so good. I absolutely flew through this, and it was a delight because I'd had a couple of books that I should have enjoyed and I didn't. You know that feeling? You know when you read all the reviews and you think, oh, this is going to be amazing, and it's not. I don't know whether you can hear that. But the toilet's just flushed next door. Ignore that. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really recommend it. This is a well-worn copy that I got from World of Books, but I'm not getting rid of it because I will read it again. I'm hoping, I think there is a second book coming out that features the same crew from the Clarendon English Dictionary Office, because they were brilliant and I'd like to read more about them. So that was really good. High praise. This was another in that, I think, four for three. Something's beeping, sorry. Is that me? What's my phone? Just in case it's the vets. No, it's not the vets. Sorry about that. I just had to look because we've got a cat ill in the vets and we're going to go and pick them up. It's been a whole thing this weekend with cats. I still have our 3 cats. We have our 3 beautiful pussycats, of course. 2 of them are not well. One of them is extremely not well, and has been at the vets for 4 days. Which is devastating and incredibly expensive, but hopefully we're bringing him home this afternoon. And I'm hoping by bringing him home, the other cat will get better, because we suspect the reason the cat is not well, who's in the house, is because she's missing her brother. That's what we're hoping. If not, I'll be going back to the vets with her tomorrow. It's a whole thing. This is what's happened. But anyway, let's talk about books. This, Rob Rinder, The Trial. Rob Rinder is an English barrister who it goes on the television as Judge Rinder. I never watched anything with that on. I think he did Strictly. Did he do Strictly? He did something that I saw him in. I think he might have done Strictly. I don't know. He did something that I saw him in and thought, oh, actually, he comes across as quite decent. I quite like him. I'll pick this one up as part of that. 4 for 3. I think so. It is, and it's a court mystery, and the reviews all said it's really good, and it's really good because it's set in a court and it's about a court case, and it's very true to life. And I thought, as an English barrister who would be dealing in a court, he would be the best person for that. It was okay. I won't be keeping this one. It says enthralling from the first page, Joanna Lumley said. I don't know what Joanna Lumley... Well, obviously, she had it enthralling. I did not. Maybe because I don't like the characters. There weren't that many characters that I liked. There was kind of pressure on the characters that I didn't understand. You know, that kind of like, I've got to succeed and I hate them. And yeah, and I didn't really like the community that it was set in. So the whole thing I didn't enjoy. I read it, but I didn't enjoy it. There are some things that you can read where you're in a community that you don't like people, but you still enjoy it, or you enjoy the fact they're unlikable. This one I really didn't. Yeah. So it was a bit of a miss for me. An unusual one for me, this one. It's very slender. This is called Rizio by Denise Mina. Denise Mina is a crime writer that I have read. I read her first book, which came out years ago. I think it might have even come out when I was still working in a bookshop. Does this actually tell me? I wonder whether I actually got her first book when I was working in a bookshop, because it was a long time ago I read it. And this is in Darkland Tales, the best modern Scottish authors offer dramatic retellings of stories from the nation's history, myth and legend. These are landmark moments from the past, viewed through a modern lens and alive to modern sensibilities. Each Darkland tale is sharp, provocative and darkly comic, mining the seam of sedition and psychological drama that has always featured in the best of Scottish literature. It's about... Let me tell you what it's about. It's Saturday evening on the 9th of 1566. And Mary, Queen of Scots, is 6 months pregnant. She's hosting a supper party. Outside, Edinburgh is bustling. It's full of the great and the good and the idiot sons of the rich, here for a parliament which will take Scotland by the shoulders and turn it from England to face Europe. Mary doesn't know that her palace is surrounded, that right now an army of men is creeping upstairs to her chamber. They are coming to murder David Rizio, her friend and secretary, the handsome Italian man who is smiling across the table at her. Mary's husband wants it done in front of her, and he wants her to watch. This actually happened. So this is a retelling of a moment of history. And I was listening to a podcast called, let me tell you what it was called. These are the things I've got to remember to do before I come to video, not just the Tudors. And it's about Tudor history, but not just the Tudors. And one of the episodes was about this moment. And I thought, I have never heard of this. I have never heard of this moment of history. And yet it is shocking and brutal. And I need to know more. And the podcast featured Denise. So she was, of course, talking about her book. And I thought, well, I've got to get that. And then I found out it's that short. I was like, no, okay, I'll get that. So I got it. With these two. I've just remembered when I got it, actually. So yeah, so I got this. And I mean, it really does pack a punch. It's only 116 pages long. Ooh. Kind of visceral and dark and exciting to read. And it left me reeling, I would say. But it's well worth it. Well worth it. So that one I recommend. So you've had a recommend, don't recommend, recommend. Yeah, fine. Absolutely fine for this one. This is A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley. This is the first in a trilogy, I think, because it's 3 friends, and I think it's going to be 3 books, set in a magical Hallmark-like American small town. So if you think of the Hallmark, have you watched The Good Witch? I think it's on the Hallmark channel. I think I watched it on Netflix, actually, and I watched like quite a few series, and there's that kind of small Hallmark type town where everybody knows each other, and there's that kind of real lovely sense of community, and they have community events. In this book, the world understands that there's magic everywhere, and that there are witches and there are demons and mermaids, and this particular place, which I can't remember the name of the place, let's call it Magic Falls, is like an epicenter for it. This lady, Mariel, is prophesied to be the most powerful witch seen in centuries, but she prefers baking bread to brewing potions. And I was drawn to it because it's really cozy. It was kind of sold, it was talked about, so it was really cozy. She bakes bread. She's good at gardening. She's a nature witch, and plants really respond to her. And if I was going to have any kind of affinity, that's what I would want, is kind of a nature responding to me, understanding nature on a kind of instinctual level rather than having to look up how to deal with a plant. I would love to just know. That would be I would love that kind of magic to happen. You know, herbology in here, she who should not be named, and she shall not be named, have that kind of leaning. That would be my thing. You know, I love that. You know, I've got my little cactus here, which is actually really easy to maintain, I will be honest. So yeah, that's kind of, I was drawn to it for that. It is very cozy. It is, I would say, it's, you know, a spicy read. There's a bit of sauce there. Medium spice, very heteronormative, for considering that she's a witch and he's a demon. Very heteronormative. You would expect it to be a bit more, you know, unusual, but no. But good fun. Good fun. I rollocked my way through it. 350 pages. Could it have been shorter? Yes. But did I enjoy it? Also, yes. Will I be looking for the other ones? Yes. So, yes. I think that's my review. Yes. When I need coziness with a bit of sauce. Yes. Okay. This one, I actually listened to on audio and then bought my husband the big chunkiness of it because I thought he would really enjoy it. It's the latest Dan Brown, The Secret of Secrets. It's set in Prague. That's actually why I bought it. I started listening to it. It was a thriller. It was over 20 hours. It was going to be set in Prague. I thought that sounds like escapist nonsense that I am here for. I like a thriller. I used to really like Dan Brown. However, was it the Lost Symbol? I think it might have been the Lost Symbol or Inferno. No, I'm sure it's the Lost Symbol. I found so dull. I didn't read the last chapter. I didn't care what happened. That's how little I cared for that particular tale. I did enjoy some of his others. You know, they're Dan Brown. They are ridiculous. It made me laugh out loud in how ridiculous it was when I was listening to this. But that was joyous. Because then it carried on and you're like, how did that just happen? But I still want to know how. So if my review of this one was yes, my review of this one is how did that happen? I would say I couldn't put it down out of my ears. I was listening to it for the first 3/4. I feel it lost its way a little. Perhaps no, but I'm being disingenuous. That 80% of it, the last 20%, I feel lost its way a little bit. And I was really interested to see what the husband thought after he read it. And he had exactly the same experience. He was just reading it going, what? How? This is great, but how? And then he felt the same. Please tell me, have you read it? Are you somebody that will go all the way through Dan Brown? What did you think to the ending without saying anything? No spoilers, please, for anybody. I really want to go to Prague and walk around and go to all the places that are mentioned in here. They must just adore it when Dan Brown writes a book in a city. The city must just hold a festival for it because suddenly there must be an influx of tourists. So, yeah. So I read that. How? But still good. Well worth reading. And the last one. I won't go on too much for this. She is chunky. She big. Boom. It's called Alchemised. It's by SenLinYu is how I would pronounce that. If you, like many of us, read the fanfic of Manacled, which was available free on the web, this is the print non-HP universe version. So yes, it is published by Penguin Random House. She's done really well. She's got herself a fabulous book deal. It's very faithful to Manacled. It's set in a completely different universe with a different magic system, with different powers. I'm not sure there are that many. I was reading it going, well, that's that character. There was a touch of The Handmaid's Tale about Manacled. That is far less in this one. It's more brutal in its violence towards people and the violence of the kind of factions, if you remember that. It is a dark and twisted tale, is what I would say. Is it entirely successful? No. Does it still have all the problems that Manacled have, which was that it was overlong, got in its own way at times, could be a bit depressing to read? Yes, it had all of that. Having read Manacled, I found it easier to read because I knew what was coming all the time. I knew what was going to happen. So I was quite happy to read it. I flew through it. I got into the universe. I didn't overly get bogged down. I didn't let myself get too bogged down in the universe. I let that be. I didn't feel like I had to make it make sense. I'm not sure it totally did. But I'm quite forgiving about those kind of things. I don't always make sense. So why would I expect other people to? So it was fine. It was fine. Was it worth reading all of that? Yeah. Because it took me, it's over 1,000 pages. It took me 4 or 5 days. I flew through it. And sometimes that's what you need, kind of enjoyable escapism. It is grown up. It isn't that rude. It's more grown up for what it tackles. It wasn't as rude as Manacled. So, yeah, there we go. So I would say, yeah, it was fine. It was fine. It was worth it. I enjoyed it. Am I going to read it again? I don't know. I might do. I won't. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I probably wouldn't be interested in reading again, but yeah, it was all right. It was all right. For such a big book. It was all right. It was all right, yeah. So there we go. There we go, Booktube. So flying through 6 books. Let me do the obligatory. Oh, I've missed this. Oh, how brilliant is this? I've missed doing the obligatory stack. This feels so old school. Can you still hear me, or have I got my hair on my microphone? Have you seen I've got a microphone? I know, I'm so fancy. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, there we go, Booktube. Oh, that was really good. First video down. Well, I'll just have to crack on. I've got so many ideas for videos. Yeah. And I'll be back. I'm going to try and make Friday Reads happen again because they were such a good touchstone in the week. I think we all need that. Sending much love to you, Booktube. It's great to be back. Thanks for leaving the door open. This has been great, Booktube. Let's do this again. Bye.